This is our first annual New England Cannabis Convention, day 2. And day 1 was unbelievable. It really was. From Bob Lobel to all the speakers and the vendors and the community and the after party. Did some of you guys go to the after party last night? First water sign? Yeah, you were there. I couldn't make it. It was too much, but you guys wore me out. And we're back day number 2. Expecting more big things. My name is Mike Cann. I am with Dig Boston. We're hosting this thing this weekend. Find me weekly Dig Boston Blunt Truth columnist. Also, I'm on WEMF Radio, The Young Jerks. I'm former Mass Can Normal board member, president. I've been doing this for about 15 years in Boston. Marijuana reform activism. I'm really happy where the movement is. We're not all the way there. We're going to keep working. Probably take us another 15 years to get what we really want. But we're getting there, and the media and everyone is seeing it, and how proud and professional we are today, and the community, how respectful you are. You're following the rules. You're experiencing new freedom. You have respect for this process. I want to, again, let's hear it for everyone who's here today and how cool everyone is. Let's hear it for Boston and all the participants here today, because it's you that's made the difference. This is about you. And we're going to open it up today, as we did yesterday, and find out what you think about things that are happening in this community right here. We're going to open up today with Cooking with Cannabis, which is very exciting. Edibles. We're going to do an edible panel, and we're very excited about our panel. We have a Stephanie Peltier, who we're hoping to see later on if she's here. Definitely come down, Stephanie. We're hoping she's going to be from Maine speaking on the panel. We also have someone that we just decided to add to the panel because there is an opening right now. And he's a good friend of ours. His name is Bobby. Well, we know him as Bobby Nuggs. And he's from Rhode Island. And why don't you say hello, Bobby Nuggs?
What's up, everybody? How you doing out there today? Yesterday was a blast. I just want to say it's an absolute honor to see so many of my peers, my friends, and so many new faces in one spot, coming together and unifying for a greater cause than ourselves. This is what we need right now for progression on the East Coast and in the U.S. in general. I mean, more than ever now here. So keep up the great work, you know? Don't be afraid to tell your friends to join us. The more the merrier.
Thank you, Bobby. And I love Bobby because he's a hustler. He writes. He's involved in every part of this movement, and he does it with respect and friendship, and he really cares about people. And it's a big honor to have you here, Bobby. Thank you very much.
Much love, brother. It's an honor to be sitting among you guys.
And we also have Broderick Moose from Rhode Island. And Broderick, I think you got a better mic right there. Do you? Try that mic. It's not working?
Let's see. Oh. All right.
That mic should be the best one. And we have Broderick Moose from Rhode Island. He is a chef. Would you call yourself a chef?
I wouldn't go that far, but.
All right, describe yourself. Tell us about yourself, Broderick.
I've been working with cannabis, particularly perfecting recipes for like the last 10 years of my life. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a chef. I'm mostly self-trained, but it goes to prove to yourself that there's really not much that you can't do without passion. So.
And how long have you been cooking with cannabis?
Like I said, about the last 10 years of my life.
10 years?
Yeah.
Excellent. And so 10 years, I mean, 10 years you could become quite adept.
I'd like to think so, but my patients give me good reviews, so that's really what matters.
So you work with patients in Rhode Island. Legally,
yes,
are you a legal?
Yes, I'm a legal cannabis caregiver in the state of Rhode Island.
Awesome. How many patients do you help?
Essentially, the state of Rhode Island limits you to 4 patients that you're allowed to have underneath you. But
do you think that's fair? Do you think that it should be a higher limit, or that's a good amount? 4.
Personally, I think that patients should be allowed to have a lot more caregivers, so the options aren't limited. Treatment is a really complicated thing, and I feel like limiting it to 2 caregivers and then 4 patients per caregiver really tends to put us in a precarious situation in terms of providing consistent care for people.
Yeah, and Rhode Island too is even better than Mass too. At 4 to 2 doesn't sound good, but we only have 1.
Yeah.
You can have 1 in Mass, which is crazy. Thank you, Broderick. And also, we have a special guest, Rick. He's added to the panel. Rick, I hope I said his name right. D. Fedid Dale. Did I say it right?
Close, Di Fideli.
Oh, I got it wrong. 2 years, he's the Research and Development Director at the Thomas Slater Compassion Center. They're a licensed legal Providence, Rhode Island dispensary. They're the first to open in Rhode Island. He's got a real job doing this for a living. Tell us about what you do, Rick, and how you got into this.
Basically, on a day-to-day schedule, I'm working on new products, experimentation, coming up with new ways to basically ingest and take cannabis as a medicine. It's a very exciting job. We have basically ultimate freedom to try out anything that we possibly can to make it better for everyone all around. It's pretty much my dream job. And, you know, these things are very possible. These are real jobs that people can have now. And if you have a passion, it's out there. It's waiting for you, basically.
How many people would you say are employed at the Slater Center right now?
So how many are employed?
Yes.
I think we have around 50 right now.
50 or 50?
50, yep.
Wow. Gee, wouldn't we want those? Why can't we get those jobs in Boston?
They're coming,
Took us
man.
4 years.
You know, we had Bob LaBelle yesterday. Bob LaBelle is famous for about, you know, talking about the Red Sox of the past, and always said, why can't we get those players? Because the Yankees always used to get them. It's like, we're the marijuana movement, Bob. I've given you a new one. Why can't we get those jobs? Why does Rhode Island get those jobs?
It's a matter of time. I guarantee within the next few years, you guys are going to have more than you know what to do with. So all of these newcomers that are coming into the industry right now, it's the perfect time to learn the knowledge you need to obtain to, you know, get a good job in this industry that can actually pay really well.
Yeah, and I would love to work in this industry because it helps people, right?
It's very
Isn't that why
fulfilling.
everyone wants to work in this industry? There's so many jobs you take, you're really not happy with them because of who you're working for, right? I'd rather work for Cannabis than, you know, big telephone company, right?
I was just saying to somebody in the crowd that I'm blessed every day to wake up and be able to do something that helps pay my bills, but ultimately does something that means something for the community.
Thank you, Broderick. And Broderick, you serve patients in Rhode Island right now legally. Tell us about some of your patients if you can, without, you know, I don't know if there's confidentiality or if they, you know, are there any stories or any people that you really help that you see it make a difference for?
One of the biggest differences that I've seen that specifically edibles, cannabis edibles have done for one of my patients is I have a patient who's an amputee. He deals with phantom limb pain every night of his life. It's something that has affected his life in the way that it's in every facet. Cannabis edibles gave him the ability to sleep through the night. It gave him the ability to get his memory and cognition back because he was rested again and able to think clearly. A lot of people, they think cannabis edibles and they think, let's see just how high we can get, when really it's not about that. It's about providing a different type of medicine for a different type of patient.
And why not for an amputee? It makes total sense. Nerve pain, it's always there. I have nerve pain. I don't have it quite probably as bad as an amputee, but that's the best. Edibles work so well for that nerve pain. I know it. It's the least toxic. If the cannabis doesn't work, I might take a Tylenol, but that still eats my stomach. I don't even like to take Tylenol anymore.
I mean, from a stiff neck all the way to being wheelchair bound or having multiple sclerosis, edibles can really be a godsend for you every day of your life and get you off of opiates and muscle relaxers and all of that nonsense we really don't need in our bodies.
Let's talk about regulation. We're in Massachusetts right now, and there's a lot of edibles going around. Have you seen it? Has anyone tasted any edibles here? Yeah, there's a few. I've had a few. They're really good. But sometimes it's packaged and legal for other states, and it's professional, but here it's still kind of a gray area. We still don't have it the way it should be. How do you feel about regulation? Is it going to be over-regulated? Like, what are your concerns about it? Let's talk about, just bring up regulation in general. What are your thoughts on regulation for edibles? Bobby Nugs.
I mean, regulation in this industry all around is very, very important. But for edibles, in my opinion, traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast and seeing a lot of different people making edibles, there really needs to be a standard among these people who are making edibles, because I've personally had edibles that didn't do anything to me, and then I've had an edible that put me where I should be. And you know, there just shouldn't be such a drastic in between. There should be more of a consistent factor of a medicating edible for everyone here.
And Roderick,
I find one of the biggest challenges from a production standpoint is that one of the things that we lack in the area is reliable and accurate testing consistently. There are a lot of different options. They're great for a variety of different reasons, but from an edible standpoint, they don't necessarily do the job that we need them to do. So it's very hard from the standpoint of somebody that's producing a cannabis edible for a patient to create something that's reliable and consistent without that feedback.
every time, right? And how do you handle that? Do you do testing? How do you kind of quality control just for yourself? Never mind.
In terms of personal quality control, testing is always a great idea, but that really is limited to like large batch production because it's not necessarily cost effective for smaller batches. Part of the way that I maintain a particular consistency is all of my recipes I record, and each time I adjust them, I record what the results were in terms of patient
yourself.
feedback. Well, no, also with my patients, because that's really what matters most to me is I need to find out if the medicine's working for them. And if it's not working for them, then I'm not really doing my job.
Oh, I love that. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I know Donna Hackett was on the panel yesterday, and she always wants to talk about the patients and the feedback and how sometimes people think they're caregivers or serving patients by providing the product, but there's none of that feedback or real, you're actually having a relationship with your patient and finding out this works, this doesn't, you get the feedback.
That sort of thing is where the actual limiting of like patient-caregiver relationships to 4 is beneficial in that like it allows us to have a closer, more intimate relationship with each of the patients that we deal with.
So maybe a limit of 10 might not be so bad. You know, maybe up it a little more is maybe what.
Maybe a little bit of adjustment would be nice.
Okay. And Rick, do you want to speak on? I know you're probably you probably face a lot of regulation now. You're legal,
Absolutely.
so we're looking at the spectrum here. From Roderick over here has some regulation with a caregiver, and Bobby might be making some for his friends and maybe not be regulated. And you're totally, I imagine, regulated at this point. How do you feel about regulation? Is the regulation in Rhode Island for your center too much?
It is not at this point. We definitely need to have a more standardized regulation just all around. The fact of the matter is, when you are dispensing this product for most people, it is a medicine. And just like any other medicine, you need to have a reliable, consistent dosage. I mean, if you're going in to buy something, you want it to be the same every time that you buy it, because you know that this is what works for you or this is what does not work for you. And to be able to be consistent with that is, I think, the most extreme important thing that we could possibly be facing right now. And like Moose was saying, with the testing right now, it is very hard because a lot of it is gas chromatograph, which when you're doing edible testing, it's not very reliable.
So what do you use? Are you using testing? What kind of testing do you do? Who do you work with? Do you
more
do
a
yourself?
UPLC at this point, just so you can get a more reliable testing. I'm trying to do more where I'm isolating individual cannabinoids for specific ailments. I've just isolated a CBN component, which has been working very well for people with very chronic pain and restlessness. So it's very similar to like CBD, but you get a little bit more towards that head side. Not quite as intense as a straight Delta 9 high, but it's very good, and it's working very well for people with those chronic, joint muscle pains and sleep issues. So just to be able to really know what exactly is in your medicine and to consistently be able to provide that to everyone, I think, is very important.
Excellent, Rick. Rick, with the Thomas Slater Compassion Center, do you? I'm allowed, if you got. Excuse me for a second. I'm losing my train of thought, and I had something as a follow-up on that too as well. I know what it is. Do you guys create all your own edibles, or do you go with outside vendors? Is my question.
It's all created in-house.
What is it?
It's all created in-house.
All in-house.
Yep, actually by myself.
Is that by law, or do you guys just decide to do it that way?
By law, we have to create it in-house. We can't purchase anything outside, just for unreliability. I mean, if you're making something in your home, in your kitchen, who's to say how cleanly you're being what you're bringing in. We have no idea. So everything is made in a
In-house.
state-approved kitchen in-house. So just like a restaurant, we're kind of standardized the same way.
I mean, that'll be a liability in the long run if you don't.
Absolutely.
And as a novice, as someone who just, I'm a medical patient. I don't bake it that much. I'm not that good at it. Do you have any advice for patients who are kind of looking to either get the product or make it themselves?
Yeah, go slow to start off with. You don't need to go balls to the wall
Go
straight
slow.
ahead.
Take it easy.
Yep, definitely. Especially when you're working with higher concentrates. Don't go with honey oils to start off with. Just use buds. You can make a very powerful butter at your house very easily. I mean, it's all about just time and temperature, really. So if you can take the time to sit there and make your own medicine, that's the way to go, for sure.
Bobby, you got something to say on that?
I mean, I always stress the fact among hash makers and anybody who's doing any infusions, do your research. Don't be afraid to ask questions to people like us, because we give people the time of day. But you can really go on YouTube and get some great factual information that can really do you some great justice if you're trying to make your own butter or infusions or tinctures at home to make your own edibles with.
You said YouTube. Is there anyone that you kind of look to that you like on YouTube that they should check out on that?
Jessica Catalano, she's a Canadian woman who makes, in my opinion, some of the most exquisite fine dining edibles in the world.
Yes. Roderick?
One of the other suggestions that I'd have is if this is actually from the other side of the coin, if you're going to be consuming edibles, a lot of people are kind of inexperienced with edibles. They've only known cannabis edibles to be your standard weed brownie or something like that. One of the things that I've experienced as a person that is providing them is that people often don't listen to me in terms of when I give them suggestions for dosage range. Sometimes this can lead people down a really uncomfortable path that they're not necessarily looking for. One of the big things that I'd say if you're looking to really get into this is to pay attention, and as he said, start slow, because you really don't need to go overboard with it, and going overboard really only serves to increase your tolerance or your patient's tolerance faster. So.
Excellent. And, question on making edibles. Can you make good edibles with, like, inferior product?
Yes, you can.
Is it worthwhile?
If it's all you have to work with.
Oh, it's Rick, what was it?
If it's all you have to work with. I mean, basically, every part of the plant has some sort of cannabinoid in there that you can extract from it. And at the end of the day, the cannabinoid structure is a molecule. So if you can pull out those molecules, it doesn't matter what the base was. You might get more from a fire strain, but if you can extract it, you can use your roots. It's all in there. It's there.
It works. You guys agree
Don't
with that?
throw anything
Yeah.
out. That's the most important thing.
That's one of the things. I tend to work almost exclusively with different types of hash for cannabis edibles. For me, it just allows me a greater range of control to work with. But in this case, what it also does is it allows you to take something that might not necessarily produce a medicine that you're looking for in another way, and make use of the very best, make the very best use of the entire plant.
You got Bobby Nugs?
I mean, I always stress the factor that if you have a superior product, then you're going to have a superior end product. If you have an inferior product, then you're going to have an inferior product when you're done with that. I always stress the fact, gold in, gold out.
Yep.
I mean,
Amen.
it don't get better than that.
Absolutely. And I know we're going to do a question and answer as well, but before we get to that, I also want to ask you guys, what are some of your favorite edibles? Like, are there certain companies out there, certain products, or things that you specialize or like to make? I want to hear about edibles. Tell us about it. Broderick first.
So one of the things that I've noticed from a producer's standpoint is that this market tends to be dominated primarily by people making sweet foods. One of the things that I really like to try and do is try and change the way patients think about edibles. So I'm trying to produce things like barbecue sauce or salad dressing or something that you haven't necessarily thought of. This for a variety of different reasons, but among them health reasons. You're trying to produce a medicine. You don't want your medicine to then cause another health problem. Then we're kind of back to where Big Pharma is. that's basically what I'm focusing on. So.
Yes. I mean, I like that. That's what I'm looking for, especially with like the olive oils and the salad dressings and the...
Like literally the possibilities are endless. The things that I like to do is I like to find a recipe that already stands alone as a great recipe unmedicated, and then I like to take that and figure out how to add cannabis in a way that complements it. A lot of cannabis foods tend to be really strong in that grassy, herby flavor that you might be used to. Some people really dig that, but for me, I'm trying to find a way that you can enjoy your medicine while at the same time
Absolutely.
getting the
It's a hard thing to cook with because it does have a strong, I mean, I noticed that. It's
spicy things are great for hiding the flavor of cannabis, so you can get a really strong dose into something that's spicy or smoky.
Maybe like an Indian food, would that work? Like, can you
For
make
sure.
me some Indian?
Curries.
Yeah?
Curries are great to medicate. It's easy.
Indian spice cannabis, I like that.
Yeah.
I will eat that.
Yep.
So, Rick, do you have something to add to that?
Absolutely. I'm completely of the same mind. I teach a monthly class at the center myself, and it's basically just promoting healthy eating with cannabis. And actually, along the lines, I actually cook a chicken masala Indian dish. And just, it's showing people that you can eat healthy with this. You can medicate responsibly and still not have to have a brownie every morning or a cookie. You know, you can eat healthy. This has been going on for thousands of years. These people have been using this medicine for our entire human history. And they make it very healthily, and it's still, we forgot this. And we can bring it back. You know, you can make delicious, wonderful food every day and be medicated. You know, it's all very possible.
Thank you. You have something to add, Bobby Nugs?
I mean, let's be honest. This industry just really needs to pay attention and realize that this health factor that our entire generation is going through can easily just be switched and transferred right into the edibles game. It's not about brownies and cookies anymore. 5-star chefs who are famous are now taking some of their one-of-a-kind dishes that they created and they're medicating with butter. I mean, like I said, if you do your research, you can really find someone that can help you find some great alternative cooking methods. Since I met this man on my right here, his barbecue sauce and infusions have been a lifesaver to me. And I don't always want to eat sweets. I mean, I'm kind of over the sweets. But if I'm going to ever recommend an edible company to anyone here that makes sweets, it would definitely be Kush Cake Pops.
Oh,
and,
yeah,
and
I know
Many
them.
Bros because
Kush
they're
Cake.
so
Do-
consistent.
Do people know Kush Cake Pops? Have you tried these things? Oh, yeah. I got
Yes.
some.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those things are. You got to be careful, though.
Yes, you do.
There's different ones. Like, there's the ones I can handle, and then there's the ones I got to be. You take it slow. You know what I'm talking about.
My favorite dish, though, I think to personally make for myself is medicated baked bacon macaroni and cheese.
There you
I
go.
love it.
Hell yeah.
So we got a big crowd here. I love it. Again, I just want to thank the audience for being here. So many of you are interested in this. You're checking it out. You've been here the whole time. Let's hear it for the crowd one more time. Yourselves, your friends around you. And this panel, I mean, I feel like we're getting some good, this is a good discussion. We got Bobby Nugs, my boy, everybody's man. Let's go, the man from Rhode Island. If you ever need something to run on, you just call Bobby Nugs. You're all
It's
set.
an honor to be sitting up here with you guys. This year is going to be fantastic. So good job with this event. I'm impressed.
And right next to him, we have Broderick Moose, also from Rhode Island. We have an all Rhode Island panel right now. And also, we have Rick. I'm going to call him Rick D so I don't screw it up again. He's the Research and Development Director. He's got a real job. Thomas Slater, Compassion Center, Providence, Rhode Island, the first medical marijuana dispensary opened in Rhode Island. He's been doing it over there for
I
2
got to give you
years.
props for that, bro. Every one of you guys at Slater Center are really making history for all of us right now.
Thank you. And we're going to open up for question and answers. I got some T-shirts. I got one of these, what are these called?
I've never seen this in my life. It's
Have
a
you seen
Smoky
this thing?
Bubbles anywhere. That's what it says.
I got to look for the card. I got it here. It's a roller bowl.
Interesting.
Yeah. She knows all about it. It's you go over to the booth, they'll tell you about this thing. It's made in Boston, though. I mean, these guys are from Boston. We're going to give one of these away. We're going to give some
Right?
Michael Malta shirts out. You know this guy?
Rest in
Yeah.
peace, KOP.
My friend that passed away.
We love
a lot
you.
of our friends. He's our brother. He was here for a long time doing this. I drove by his memorial today on the common. I beeped. I said, we're here, because today is about him too. So we'll give some of his shirts away. We got his friend over here, Red Blazer, in the house, who made these t-shirts. Red Blazer, why don't you come down? He won't come down. Look at him.
I think there's many of us in this room who, you know, wouldn't even be as inspired as we are right now if it weren't for KOP to do what we do.
Yeah, let's hear it for KOP. KOP! 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 KOP!
KOP! We love you.
Yeah, we love you.
Pick our brains. Ask us questions.
So,
especially this guy and this guy.
Yeah, we already see hands up. So why don't we start over here? I want you to come on up. All right. First, I want to know your name and where you're from.
Fawn like a baby deer, and I'm from Connecticut.
You're from Connecticut? I didn't get the name. Say the name.
Fawn.
F-A-W-N? Fawn. I like that.
It.
That's very cool. And Fawn, do you have a question for our panel?
Yeah, I do. With the hash, when you're doing that, do you, like, what's your decarb process? Like, do you decarb for a little bit and then do double boiler, or like, how do you, and do you use soy less of it?
So you're asking Broderick about hash. He cooks with hash. Is it decarbed? Some technical questions I don't understand. Broderick, I'm sure it does.
Yeah, but just what your process is. I just kind of want to like.
So decarboxylation is like a really, really important part of making your edibles. It's going to determine almost entirely, aside from the actual strains that you're working with, how your medicine is going to feel afterwards. One of the things, so basically when I do like a decarb process, one of the things that I'm paying attention to is the actual recipe that I'm using, if I'm exposing that to heat, you also have to figure that into your overall decarb time. So like when I create edibles, I actually tend to not do a complete decarboxylation. I'm aiming for something just shy of it, because one of the things that I've gotten as feedback a lot is that when I do a complete and full decarboxylation, I get a lot of people telling me that the primary effect of the medicine is sleepiness, and I'm not always after that. So it's important to consider the temperature that you're going to cook at when you consider the decarboxylation process.
Excellent answer, excellent question. What do you think, Fawn? You got a follow-up?
Well, no, I agree, because yeah, the sleeping effect, like no matter what the strain, it's just a good thing. But actually, do you use soy lecithin to?
I use like depending on the recipe, and if it'll work for it, I use a combination of soy and sunflower lecithin. It's they're agents that increase the bioavailability of the THC, and they make you uptake it at a greater rate. Another thing too that affects the potency of the medicine that I've found is when I'm doing a decarboxylation process, it's of utmost importance to do it in some sort of closed vessel, because your medicine is volatilized inside of that vessel. Don't open it until it's cool again, because you're going to lose some of the potency.
What do you think about these decarb, the first water sign? Is that a nice?
Chance to look at them yet.
Yeah. Okay. So Fawn, thank you for the question. You got a choice of a T-shirt. We got a medium, an XL, and an XL, or the roller bong. She wants the roller bong. You got the roller bong. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fawn. And we invite you. We're giving away some T-shirts. And do you have a question? We have a question over here, gentlemen. All right. And I want to know your name and where you're from.
My name is Colin Sowney. I'm from Connecticut. How are you guys doing? You mentioned earlier with the decarboxylation and effect. Do you guys have experience? Have you found that the less you decarb, the longer the effect, and the more you decarb, the more potent the initial effect, and the less it lasts?
So, I think a fully decarb medicine is always going to be gram for gram your most potent. But like I said, when you're trying to take into account the effect that you're trying to have, sometimes gram for gram potency isn't necessarily what you're after. So, yeah, I don't know if that necessarily answers.
Well, I'm more curious if so. A lot of decarboxylation. Do you find it also happens when you're cooking your product?
Yeah.
So if you cook a product at a higher temperature at 400 or 300 degrees, it also the product gets the medicine gets decarboxylized also within the product.
Yeah.
So would you normally decarboxylize that product prior to adding it to something that would be decarboxylizing while in the cooking process, or would you partially decarboxylize that product?
Right. That's
All
essentially
right.
what
What do
it
you?
is.
Yes. Yeah. Rick.
Yeah, so definitely whenever you're making your edibles, the best way to start off is to have your base product already decarbed. It works the best if you have some sort of lipid chain to have it suspended in. And then when you are decarboxylating within your lipid chain, like a butter or an oil or something like that, what happens is during the decarb process, when the CO2 acids are released, you actually have a binding that occurs where the cannabinoids will bind to the end of the lipid chains, and so it becomes very stable. And after it's already fully decarbed in your lipid chain, you can actually use that at any temperature without any risk of conversion or any boiling off. So when you have like a solid olive oil, avocado oil, something like that that's fully decarbed, you can now do pretty much anything with that. You can fry chicken with that. I mean, as long as you have something that will reach those temperatures, you're good.
You like that?
Awesome. Thank you very much. That's it. Thank you.
You got a T-shirt here. Which one? Which one? Give it to a homeless guy out here. Nice guy. Thank you very much, man. That was a good question. You want to? Yes. Go ahead, Bob. Bobby
All right,
Nugs.
I'm a little oblivious to this. What temperatures are best for decarb?
So when you're doing a solid decarb, I like to decarb in a lipid chain just because it is much safer and it will provide the best results. And you'll actually get full decarboxylation without, it's lossless basically. So I do generally 252 for about 27 minutes, but you just got to be in that kind of wheelhouse.
So right in your oven for about a half an hour?
So not in the oven. A lot of people will decarb their flour before they introduce it into their butter or their oils. If you actually use your oil or your butter as your extraction agent first and then decarboxylate that, you have a much higher susceptibility of not losing anything. So once you get there, you want to decarb at the end process because everything's already kind of bound up already. You're not going to vaporize anything off. Whereas if you do in the oven, you're actually cooking things off. You're losing terpenes, you're losing cannabinoids.
That's going to make a weaker medicine.
Right, it'll definitely make a much weaker. I mean, it's far inferior too, because you're going to be pulling out a lot more of your non-polar solvent stuff, like chlorophylls, all the bad tasting stuff.
Yeah.
That's what you kind of want to get rid of.
Good deal. Well, we're learning a lot today. I am.
I am too.
Yeah, decarb. That's decarb. All right. We have another question here, and again, you know the routine. What am I going to ask? Your name and town.
My name is Danielle. I'm from Connecticut.
And Danielle from Connecticut, you have a question for our panel.
Connecticut's in the house today.
Yeah, we have had a lot of. Let's hear it for Connecticut. Let's hear it for Rhode Island too. Let's hear it for Boston, Massachusetts.
We are all in this together. Don't forget that.
And from Connecticut, tell us what your question is for the panel.
I'm new to all this, and I'm just wondering what decarbylation, what does that mean?
So basically,
What does decarb mean? Decarbylation. This is a term that's coming up today. What does that mean?
So decarboxylation is when you have a raw cannabis flower, the cannabinoids are in their acid form. So you have THC delta 9A, which is the acid form, CBDA, CBGA, all the acid forms. And basically what that means is that at the end of the molecule, there's an extra CO2 chain on there. And your body cannot actually uptake that in an edible form. And it takes heat or time to remove that molecule in order for your body to process it. And basically when you smoke it, you are burning it off instantaneously, so your body can process it instantly. But when you're trying to eat it, you need to remove that manually through that baking process. So at those temperatures, you're removing that acid molecule of the CO2, and it allows your body to uptake it. And actually further from there, if you want to get really scientific, there's a lot of studies that are being found that the delta 9 is not actually what's working directly in your body. Once it's in your system, in your liver, you actually produce an enzyme that converts that delta 9 into a THC 11, which is what actually binds into your receptors and is producing the high effect for you.
Yeah, it helps make your weed better, doesn't it?
252 generally, just in that range. 250 is fine. When you get up for about a half an hour or so. And when you're doing it in like a lipid base or a butter or something like that, you can actually see it happen. You'll have all the small CO2 bubbles coming out of the product. Kind of looks like champagne bubbles. If you have the larger bubbles, it's the water coming out. So you can kind of tell the difference just looking at it. You can actually hear it too. So you'll notice that after the end of the half an hour, all the decarb will stop and there'll be no more bubble production.
So in theory, decarboxylation is almost the refining process?
It is definitely. It's a further refining process in order for your body to be bioavailable for your body to uptake.
It's pretty much ridding what we don't need.
What's that?
It's almost ridding what we don't want and need?
Not necessarily, because you can also, your body will still use the acids in a different form, but if you're looking to get that medicated feel and effect, then you need to decarb. The acids will do something a little bit different, generally a bit more anti-inflammatory, more analgesic, not quite as psychoactive.
It's important to note that there's actually a handful of different edible preparations that rely specifically on THCA. If you're trying to treat like pediatric seizures, for instance, THCA is a really powerful weapon. It's great to have in the arsenal. So.
Absolutely.
We have another question too, again about decarb, right? Your name?
My name is Beth,
Beth is here from where?
Cambridge.
Cambridge, Mass? That's where I'm from. Well, I'm moving out of there, but I'm still Cambridge. I love Cambridge. Thank you. Thank you, Cambridge. You have a question for the panel again about decarb.
You mentioned making it in a lipid base, so like in an oil of some sort, and you're saying not in the oven, so is that in a pan on the stove? And do you
Yep.
use a candy thermometer to know what temperature you're
Absolutely. You definitely need some sort of way to very accurately read your temperature gauge. Once you have it in that lipid form as an extraction, like you've already extracted into your lipid base, you definitely need to have very accurate readings. So the candy thermometer is definitely the way to go. And yep, stovetop is fine. As long as you can keep a consistent temperature and maintain it there, you'll be good.
I'm a big fan of the mason jar and double boiler setup in order to just do something basic at home.
Thank you. Did you want a T-shirt? A couple of the people, did you want T-shirts? No, you're good? Okay. You good? Homeless guy. I love you guys. All right. That's two. Yeah, we got two. We got plenty of them. So we have more questions, I see. So again, you know the routine. What am I going to ask?
I'm Christina. I'm from Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, another Connecticut. Let's hear it for Connecticut. Hartford.
Thanks for coming out.
So when cooking with Keith, and I'm decarboxylating in coconut oil, is there only so much THC that coconut oil is going to hold?
Are you talking about as far as like solubility?
Yeah, how much THC can the coconut oil act? If I'm adding 4 grams into a cup of coconut oil, is
Yep.
it taking all that THC?
Yep, so as far as solubility goes, it depends on what substrate medium you're using. I tend to like to use avocado oil because it has a very high solubility point. The most important thing when you're making these oil bases is not to overpack everything all at once. So with keef, it's much easier because it's a much smaller volume. So when you're extracting, if you're using like a flour or something like that, the more that you put in, there's only so much mass that it can pull out of. So the way to kind of get around that is when you're using a certain amount of flour that you have available, do it in stages. So if you have an ounce on you, do the first stage as a 1/4 ounce in your infusion process. Strain that out, do it again with another 1/4. That way you're not worried about the solubility aspect. It's more of like the actual extraction process that's holding you back. Keef, you can pretty much dump it all in. It's going to take it all. Yep. The hardest thing with the keef at the end is filtering out all the plant matter to get it nice. Right, all the trichoids, all the extra stuff. Yep, it's all suspended right in the oil base.
To the heat, is it more sensitive to temperature?
Just being because it's keef, you're saying?
Keep.
Nope, not at all.
No.
I mean, it's all the same thing.
It's all
Depending on
THC.
your concentrate, what happens is if you use a higher concentrate to infuse your base, it's just a little bit easier. It goes faster because you can put more in
Excellent.
at once.
All right. So do you want a T-shirt? Which size? XL or medium? XL. There you go. Thank you. Hartford, Connecticut. All right, you know what? We got some more questions. We're almost about to wrap it up. Before we do that, I want to make sure that people know that there's more panels coming up, more speeches. Stephanie Peltier, if you're here, definitely come up. Before we get to another question, I also want to say I heard that it was somebody's birthday last night. I saw there was you had a big dinner last night, number one. Did anyone go to that steak dinner last night? Yeah, you were there?
If you
Looked
didn't
pretty-
go, you missed out on something spectacular.
And I saw a video. It was pretty cool. It was like you guys were singing happy birthday to somebody who helped book this panel today, who's
We
helped
did.
out in the convention.
I mean-
Why not do it now? Can we do it now?
If you want to, I mean,
You
for
guys
those
know
of you
Mickey
who
Martin?
don't, Mickey Martin is one of the most elite activists in the whole United States of America, in my opinion.
So why don't we sing happy birthday to Mickey Martin?
Happy birthday to you. Come on, guys. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Mickey.
Happy birthday
To you.
I was all
Mickey
right.
couldn't be here today, so we're giving him a love from afar.
You gotta.
He helped us out. We love Mickey. He's always helping out. So, why don't we get to that question? We got look at this. We got a line of people who want to ask questions. But we're almost out of time. And again, I am Mike Can from Dig Boston. This is Bobby Nux. Share for Bobby Nux, please. Thank you.
Yeah, Bobby.
From Rhode Island. Always here to help. And we have Broderick Moose next to him from Rhode Island. And we have Rick D., Research and Development Director for the Thomas Slater Compassion Center of Providence, Rhode Island. Thank you. And we'll try. Quick questions. Get to the question. That's all I want. Let's do it quick.
Miles from Nashua, New Hampshire, and I was curious, what is the best to soak up the THC? I'm looking into making Jolly Ranchers.
Jolly Ranchers.
I actually couldn't hear the question.
Best way to absorb THC when making candies.
To absorb it?
Yep.
Tincture?
For what?
What's
like
the
if I-
best infusion for Jolly Ranchers?
There you go.
Oh, to make a Jolly Rancher candy? Generally, like a glycerin tincture would be the best way if you can start with like a hash base. That way you can make the glycerin really strong, because glycerin's kind of not very forgiving. You need to really jam it in there, man.
Like that?
Yeah, that was good. Thank you.
You want a t-shirt? Medium or XL? There you go, Rob. One more t-shirt. Someone else have a question? Name and question. Where you from?
My name is Rob. I'm from Cumberland, Rhode Island.
Rhode Island in the house.
When cooking with extracts specifically, do you recommend decarbing before you extract? Because I've heard that before. I've never tried it myself. And the other question I had was, if you don't do that, would you? Sorry. So, would you, if you're cooking with an extraction, would you decarb before you extracted, or would you decarb the actual extraction?
So would
I've
you
heard of
decarb the material you're extracting?
I didn't know if it was something that made any sense, because to me it didn't seem like it made a ton of sense. But
No, I always decarb at the end of the process. That way you're extracting everything first. So there's no loss when you're decarbing. You're saying just decarbing your baseline first? Well, I would definitely decarb at your end of your process. Instead of like, if you're talking about like using a honey oil or something like that. So whatever you're doing, infuse the honey oil in it first, like for your baseline infusion, and then decarb it. If you're trying to make like, if you're just throwing honey oil into a recipe, then you do have to decarb it beforehand. But again, it's going to be a bit more volatile, so you'll lose some of your cannabinoid terms.
Does that make sense?
yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
T-shirt? No. Okay. All right. We got one more. Your name, sir. You're the most. You look a little bit a little higher age than normal.
Just been doing it longer.
Oh, nice. You've been doing weed a long time. Edibles?
I'm a child of the 50s, so you can do the math.
Wow. And so where you from in your name?
New York.
Oh, New York. I like New York. You're all business.
The house. That's
New York.
New York is in the house.
Let's hear it for New York.
So my question is this: aside from just making an oil, infusing an oil for edibles, can you infuse an oil and then make it into like an aerosol, almost as a topical spray, but one that would be effective?
Nice question.
Very nice
What do you think about that, guys? You all three are shaking your head. Tell us, who wants to go first?
So
What-
basically,
Dan, go.
there are companies that are doing that already. If you see like Sativex or someone like that, basically all they're doing is infusing an oil and then putting it into an aerosol spray. So as long as you have the medium that is going to, mist out effectively, it's totally possible. It's more about how much medicine you actually put in the beginning. So if you really oversaturate, you can get very strong results.
Does it have an odor to
It
it?
depends on what you're infusing in there and how you do it. If you're using just the baseline absolute, like just the THC Delta 9, it has a mild odor, but it doesn't have that cannabis real smell.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
Can you put then some sort of scent, like almost say, like make like a cologne, if you will?
Certainly.
Yeah, absolutely.
You like the cologne. Yeah, he likes it.
I'm sure
he
you can
likes
always
it.
add that.
I like the way he thinks.
Me too.
I think I need that cologne. Oh, I would be. Yeah. I mean, I love hemp everything, right? Who doesn't?
Personally, doing my research.
I love the questions. You guys
Yes,
rule.
this was great.
You want the last T-shirt, medium? Anyone? Yeah. Yeah. Come on. Take it back to New York.
Take it. Come on.
KOP loves New York.
You would love New York. Come on. But personally, in my experience, Sativex was more of an unhealthy, topical. So I would personally recommend lotions and salves more than anything else.
New York is taking back some KOP. Let's hear it for New York right now in KOP. And thank you, Bobby Nuggs. Thank you. Man, this man does it all. Relief Magazine. Tell us what you're doing, where you're at.
I've been a journalist for about 6 years. That's how I got in this industry. I'm known for my hash, my friendly ways.
Yeah, you're an award-winning hash maker.
Yes. You can catch me at the NIC Extracts Concentrates panel March 7th, speaking about solventless extractions. I'll also be throwing the Secret Cup Beast Coast again this year, and I'll be speaking at Chalice Festival in San Bernardino, California, about solventless extractions in July for 710.
Excellent, Bobby. I love you. You're the man.
Love you too, fam.
Family. And yeah, let's hear it for Bobby Nuggs. And again, this man over here, he brought a lot to this panel. I love what he's doing, and I'm glad I met him today. He was very nervous about it. You kick some butt, dude. Let's hear
Thanks
it for
for having me
Broderick
today.
Moose from Rhode Island.
I appreciate it.
And tell us more about where people can find you, if patients want to talk to you. What's up?
You can find me on Facebook. I have a Norwegian Moose Lodge Facebook page. I have a Norwegian Moose Lodge Instagram. You can catch me there. I'll be at a variety of different public events. I'll also be speaking at the Extracts and Concentrates seminar that he's brought up earlier on the 7th. I look forward to seeing some of you guys there.
Awesome. Let's hear it again for Broderick Moose. And awesome to meet this dude. Rick D., Research and Development Director at the Thomas Slater Compassion Center, Providence, Rhode Island, the first medical marijuana dispensary. Thank you again for being on this panel.
Thank you for having me.
And where can people get served? Like, tell us where this place is. I know it's in Providence. Is there a website? What's the details on you?
SlaterCenter.com. Right now, the way the laws work, you have to be a Rhode Island resident to be a part of our compassion center. Hopefully, in the near future, once Massachusetts kind of catches up with the whole medical game, we'll be able to cross state lines and really work together. But as for right now, it's just Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. And there's some Rhode Island residents here, I'm sure of it. So, yeah, absolutely. If you're a Rhode Island medical patient, check them out. Check out what they're doing. I want to thank everyone for being here. Thank all the speakers, the panelists. Thank you. And thank Boston. Thank Dick Boston.
I want to thank you, Mike Cann, and your crew for throwing such a spectacular event, allowing me to sit up here among such brilliant minds and speak my mind. So thank you.
Thank you, Bobby Nuggs. And we're going to keep doing this. We're going to keep doing events, and we're going to keep doing this today. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to bring up a new panel. It's going to be the Politics and Activism panel. And we got Mr. N.A. Pope from Philadelphia coming up. We're going to have Kara Crab Burnham, the president of MassCare Normal, and Nicole Snow with Massachusetts Patient Advocacy Alliance coming up in a moment. So stick around, take a break, and come right back.